All right, fellas, we're going to head over to our predictions next. But before we do, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, share this podcast with your friends and family. Give us a 5-star review if you've not already done so. And, of course, sign up for the message boards at boards.irishbreakdown.com. Just a reminder to people, this is a Notre Dame channel. So when we talk about keys to victory, we are going to focus on Notre Dame. So just keep that in mind as you follow this channel and get into what our analysis is. So, guys, let's finish this thing off with some predictions. So you guys know the drill. We are going to give your score prediction and then tell me why you see how you see the game playing out and what led you to make that prediction. And then I'll follow up with some questions about game ball. So, Trevor, let's start with you. Tell me who you have winning this game and tell me how you see this game playing out. Why do you have the game playing out the way that you do?
I have Notre Dame winning this game 28-17. And one thing that we all have been waiting on is for the offense to finally start clicking and consistent from drive to drive. Against Purdue, we saw Riley Leonard hit those easy layups and not take shots down the field. In Miami of Ohio, it was almost the exact opposite game. I think we're going to start to see Riley Leonard start to come into his own as the true leader of this offense. I think it's going to be a close game to start. I think it could be like a 13-7 type game to start out. And I think Notre Dame starts to stretch its legs at halftime once they start to dig in. So I have Notre Dame winning 28-17.
So Trevor, if the game plays out the way that you think it does, who is getting your game ball for the Notre Dame offense?
I have Chris Mitchell getting my game ball for the offense. I think that he's going to have a lot of different plays that start pushing the ball down the field to see. So Notre Dame fans will start to see what this offense was meant to look like at the start of the year. We heard a lot about his speed. We hear a lot about him being a 4-3 guy. I think that starts to be showcased and starts to help out Notre Dame's offense turn the corner.
Man, I hope you're right on that one. Let's go to the Notre Dame defense, Trevor. If this game plays out, you have Notre Dame winning convincingly 28-17. That would be a heck of a performance for this Notre Dame defense to hold this really potent Louisville offense 17 points. If that happens, who do you see getting the game ball for the Irish?
I think Howard Cross is going to get the game ball on the defensive line for Notre Dame. This is a prove-it game to him. We talked about it all week. He was the last player on the field looking at Louisville celebrate after upsetting Notre Dame at home. I think he's going to play with a little bit of extra fire on Saturday, and he's going to start showing why him, Riley Mills, Jack Kaiser, those guys that chose and elected to return to Notre Dame for their final season. I think Saturday he's going to showcase why.
All right, so you have Chris Mitchell on offense, Howard Cross on defense. I dig that. 28-17 final score. Mr. Roberts, who do you have winning this game? And why, I guess, is what I'm looking for. How do you see this game playing out? What leads you to believe that the score will go the way that it does?
So I initially wanted to make this one a little bit more one-sided for Notre Dame, but there's some pessimism in my heart based upon what we have seen over the last few weeks. Okay. So I ended up going Notre Dame 24-20, and I'll be again, fully transparent. I do think on paper that Notre Dame does have a clearer advantage than 24-20. But there is just some thoughts in my mind that I think this game could get ugly, and whether it's a weather game or not, I think that we could be seeing I think that we're going to see what the identity of Notre Dame is, and I think that the identity, whether we like it or not, is going to be a clear running football team that I don't know if the passing game is ever going to quite take that step. So I hope I'm wrong overall. I hope that is a miscalculation on my part, but I'm going to say that this is going to be a close football game, a defensive football game for the most part, and the last team to score on the day is the team that wins. So give me Notre Dame 24-20 over the Cards.
So, Ryan, if the game plays out the way that it does, you have 24-20, so it's going to be about the defense mostly in this game. Offensively, somebody's going to have to do something to help Notre Dame win this game. At the end of the game, sure, Irish win 24-20. Who you getting the offensive game ball?
Give it to Jeremiah Love. As I said, I think if that score happens, I think that we have it's the tougher team type of mentality, and you're going to run the football a lot. So Notre Dame fans have been urging this offense, get Jeremiah Love more touches, get Jeremiah Love more touches. I do think that this is the game that Jeremiah Love gets the most touches because you aren't playing Miami, Ohio, right? You aren't playing in a blowout against Purdue 66-7. You are now in a situation where I do think this could be a very competitive football game from start to finish. So I'm going to say that you feed number 4 in the most important aspects of this game. Maybe he gets a couple catches finally, more attention in the passing game, but I'm going to go with Jeremiah Love to have a big day.
All right, Notre Dame defense holds Louisville to 20 points, which would be a pretty good performance against this offense. If that happens, Ryan, who do you see getting the game ball at the end of the day?
I'm going to ride the hot hands, and it's going to be Boubacar Traore at defensive end. That's my guy. I mean, he's been fantastic for 2 weeks. I think that Monroe Mills is an okay starting left tackle. I think Jonathan Mendoza, the Yale transfer, is a little bit of a liability at right tackle. He can't really bend. And what does Boubacar Traore have a lot of? He's got a lot of speed and bend, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if we have 2.5 sacks from Barr. Maybe we have a forced fumble, a couple quarterback hurries. I'm going to ride the hot hand that Boubacar Traore continues to be a breakout star.
So that would obviously be big for Notre Dame if they're able to win that game. No question about it. Boubacar Traore, that'd be a good one. So you guys are both going with defensive linemen, which kind of plays into the you have to win at the line of scrimmage for this game. All right, I'll give you mine, fellas. I am going with the Notre Dame victory as well. I do think this is going to be a good football game. I mean, like I've had the conversation, like, look, could Notre Dame come out and play lights out and run Louisville off the field? Sure. We saw last year that Louisville can also run Notre Dame off the field. I mean, it was 33-20, but Notre Dame scored last in that game to make it 33-20. It was 33-13 late in the game. And it was very clear that Louisville's defense was just going to dominate Notre Dame's offense from the start. So things like that can always happen in a game. You know what I mean? I think last year, our staff was split on the Notre Dame USC game last year going into that game because I know Notre Dame was playing. I don't know that anyone saw they're just going to run USC off the field, right? Those things can happen. It's not what we predict. I know that some of us predicted Clemson. I didn't. Some of our staff predicted Clemson to beat Notre Dame 2 years ago in Notre Dame Stadium. Notre Dame got the win in a blowout fashion. Nobody predicted a blowout. So games like that can happen one way or the other. But if this game plays how I think it'll play, how the teams are matched up on paper, what we've seen, I do think this is going to be a competitive football game. I really do. And I like this football team a lot. And anyone that knows me knows that I think Jeff Brom is one of the best coaches in college football. So I'm always going to have a bit of a bias there. But I do think Notre Dame wins this game because it's home game obviously matters. I think Notre Dame has the more talented roster, not by a ton, but they have the more talented roster. And I think that Notre Dame is the last couple weeks, Notre Dame has started to show some life on offense. It hasn't quite clicked yet against a more talented opponent. Obviously, Purdue is nowhere close to what Louisville is on defense. And so you have to take that and think that through a little bit. But I do think that we start to see the offense become a little bit more balanced in this game, and they're going to do enough to win this game. I also think the Notre Dame defense is going to force a turnover or two in this game. Louisville has been great protecting the football through the first 3 games. That's hard to sustain, especially this is, with all due respect to Georgia Tech, this is going to be by far the best defense they faced so far this season, by far. And we saw a little bit of, some struggles last week with that Georgia Tech defense in certain situations. I think Notre Dame will do a better job of limiting the big plays, and they're going to be able to keep this score down enough. I have Notre Dame winning 27-20. So that's how I see this game playing out. I do think it'll be a back-and-forth game. I could see it being where Notre Dame makes a late stop and then scores late to make it 27-13, and then Louisville puts one on the board. I could also see it being a 20-17 game and Notre Dame scores last to make it a 10-point game, but it's not that big of a spread. It was much more competitive than that. We've seen games like that too. I think overall what I see, guys, is a game that's going to be, this is 2 really good football teams. They're going to battle it out on Saturday. And I just think Notre Dame is the better football team. I also think Notre Dame is far more tested football team so far this season in what they've had to face with Georgia Tech. Texas A&M, 2 quality MAC teams. Still should have beat them both more convincingly. And then you played another Big Ten team on the road. I think this is a much more tested team and for Notre Dame, whereas for Louisville, this is going to be a pretty big jump, in my opinion, from what they faced the first 3 games. So that's how I see it playing out. Game balls for me offensively. I don't think Notre Dame can win this game without Riley Leonard playing well. I don't. I really don't. So I'm going with Riley Leonard as my player of the game simply because I don't know they can win this game if he's not the player of the game, to be completely honest with you. I just struggle to vision this Notre Dame team just opening up big holes and Jeremiah Love could put up big numbers, but he's going to need Riley Leonard to make plays to complement it to make that happen. Defensively, guys, I'm actually going a little bit different. I like where your guys' heads are at with the D-line. I think there's going to be several D linemen to make plays, and that's going to force Tyler Shuck into some mistakes in this game. That's going to result in Xavier Watts having a big day. So that's why I'm going with Xavier Watts. So it's going to be a great team effort, but Xavier Watts is going to end up making the actual big plays because of some of the pressure that they're going to put on Tyler Shuck in this particular football game. So that's how I see it playing out. It's going to be a great game, I feel. I do expect a little bit of weather, which also factors into my decision a little bit, my prediction a little bit. So I'm going Notre Dame 27-20, Riley Leonard and Xavier Watts getting the wins. Trevor, you went 28-17, right? You had Chris Mitchell and Howard Cross. Correct, getting players of the game. Ryan, you went 24-20, so we were close. And you went with Jeremiah Love and Bubakar Traore, right?
Correct.
So there we go. Did have one quick super chat here that I need to get to, Trevor, before we go. You don't have to give the answer to this, but Zach Martin with super chat. Thank you, Zach. Trevor, Ryan's nickname is famously the Squirrel. Vince's is VD21. Did you ever have a nickname? Now, they don't call me by nickname, Trevor, because I never told them what my nickname was as a kid. You don't have to give that, but if it is something cool, you can go ahead and give that to the crew. Just know that whatever you're about to give, that's all they will ever call you in the chat for the rest of your time here at Irish Breakdown.
It's Pookie. It's Pookie.
No. No, well, Ryan spoiled it. No, I didn't have a nickname growing up. All of my friends, close friends, just call me Trev, and nothing too fancy. But it's what the nickname is. We're gonna stick with it.
All right, fellas. Well, thank you guys both for being with me today. Appreciate you guys both very much for joining us here to talk about the Notre Dame Louisville game.